The U.S. government has unveiled tough new sanctions on two men within the highest reaches of North Korea's ballistic missile development program. The Treasury Department's announcement is just the latest in the Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign against the rogue regime.
The U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control imposed sanctions on two key North Korean officials on Tuesday for their reported involvement in Pyongyang's ballistic missile program. The department says Kim Jong-sik, a veteran rocket scientist, is a key figure responsible for advancing the program to a point where the regime is successfully testing ICBMs capable of reaching the U.S. mainland. He was also involved in helping the North transition from liquid to solid fuel engines. The other man on the list is Lee Byung-chul, a former senior Air Force commander who oversees the regime's ballistic weapons development program.
First of all, what do you make of the Treasury Department's newly announced sanctions, and will they make any difference?
Listen, I think it's all well and good to sanction individual North Korean officials, but I don't think anybody should fool themselves into believing this is going to make a major contributions to our efforts to get rid of North Korea's nuclear weapons. Far more important in that regard are going to be the types of measures we took last week to actually target North Korea's economy as a whole, which, if they were given enough time, could well bring that economy to its knees and trigger a real crisis in the Kim Jong-un regime. And right now, I think that's probably the only hope we have, short of launching a full-scale catastrophic war on the Korean Peninsula, of actually resolving this crisis.
Ri and Kim accompanied North Korean leader Kim Jong-un during the launch of the Hwasong-14 on July 4th and 28th, as well as September's launch of the Hwasong-12, which flew over Japan. In a sign of their importance within the regime, the U.S. Treasury says both men were apparently invited by Kim Jong-un to travel with him on his private plane. The sanctions mean any assets the two officials hold in the United States can be confiscated and prohibits Americans from interacting with them. They will also be banned from overseeing transactions made in U.S. dollars. Watchers say the punitive measures make up a key part of the Trump administration's efforts to resolve the North Korean issue through intense sanctions and pressure.
A precise approach to new North Korean sanctions, as the U.S. took aim at two top officials behind the ballistic missile program on Tuesday.
Kim Jong-sik reportedly is a key figure in North Korea's ballistic missile development, including efforts to switch from liquid to solid fuel, and Ri Byung-chul is reported to be a key official involved in North Korea's intercontinental ballistic missile development, the Treasury Department said. Treasury is targeting leaders of North Korea's ballistic missile programs as part of our maximum pressure campaign to isolate the DPRK and achieve a fully denuclearized Korean peninsula, said Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. These actions follow Friday's United Nations Security Council resolution, which imposed strong new sanctions on North Korea, further shutting down its ability to raise illicit funds. The UN Security Council unanimously approved a resolution Friday limiting the amount of gasoline and diesel North Korea can import, and tightening inspections of ships suspected of illegally carrying banned items to or from North Korea. Meanwhile, Russia says its Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told his American counterpart Tuesday that Washington's aggressive rhetoric has heightened tensions on the Korean Peninsula.
Russia has reiterated its call for the United States and North Korea to start a negotiations process with the ultimate aim of resolving the nuclear crisis. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov pressed U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson during telephone talks on Tuesday to move from the language of sanctions to the negotiating process as quickly as possible. Moscow's foreign ministry added that Lavrov highlighted that it's unacceptable to exacerbate tensions with Washington's aggressive rhetoric towards Pyongyang and increasing military preparations around the Korean Peninsula. But the ministry noted that both Lavrov and Tillerson agreed that North Korea's nuclear and missile programs violate the demands of the UN Security Council.
In response, the State Department said the U.S. can already talk to North Korea, quote, through a variety of channels, and that it's up to North Korea to change course.
In a phone call between Lavrov and U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Lavrov called U.S. rhetoric unacceptable, according to Moscow. The two top diplomats also discussed further steps to resolving the crisis in Syria as well as the situation in Ukraine. The U.S. State Department did not immediately comment on the call. North Korea has significantly stepped up its nuclear and missile programs in 2017, launching a newly developed intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, called S-15 last month. North Korea claims the missile is capable of delivering nuclear warheads anywhere in the continental United States. The test was Pyongyang's third ICBM test this year and its 20th ballistic missile launch of this year. Earlier in the year, U.S. President Donald Trump referred to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as Little Rocket Man, fueling tensions between the two countries. The U.S. has increased sanctions on North Korea following missile tests.